Hi, guys. Welcome to Block Party. I'm your host, Mike Wall. Thank you for watching. If you're enjoying this, hit that subscribe button, rate and review us. Obviously, youtube.com/process to perform. You can find me at MikeWall68 on Twitter and TikTok. And then, of course, process to perform on Instagram. Listen, today we're going to go through that Packers-Rams Monday night game. Look at the Packers O-line. It's just super interesting for me as a former player who now does a lot of analysis, does some media stuff, but also works with some of these guys. It's interesting how defenses are deciding to approach playing against the run, how different personnel groupings mean certain things. And really, a lot of the game has gone away from, except for the really elite guys, perfecting your technique and being able to win your one-on-ones. And it's more of just chess pieces. And these coordinators are just kind of going chess piece versus chess piece. But it was an interesting game. The Packers are doing a couple things extremely well. Obviously, they have some great skill position players, but their offensive line, we'll go through a couple different guys in particular that made a difference in this game. And then schematically kind of what they're doing to defeat what was, a pretty vanilla Los Angeles Rams defense. In vanilla, I mean, they're running some stunts, they're running some different games, but they're able to dictate the terms of confrontation on almost every single play. And we talked about it before. The Rams are going to have to, because they're missing Aaron Donald, they're going to have to move guys around off the line of scrimmage in order to create some mismatches. In other words, they're going to have to spike from the B to the A gap or the B to the C gap or the C to the B gap in order to disrupt the rhythm of the offensive lineman. But that, of course, that's a feast or famine deal, right? If you get caught going laterally and I hit you, you're going to go back. They're going to create some holes. And obviously Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon in particular had some success with that. So let's go to this tape. And the first thing I want to point out is just by getting into a hipped off formation with Randall Cobb and then Mercedes Lewis over on the left side of your screen, you've created two wide nine techniques in a 7-man box. And so with a 7-man box, you really are looking at one linebacker, and they're almost in a dime look with number 24 and 14 being the other two guys. 14 most likely covering Randall Cobb here, and then you could argue that 24's matched up against Mercedes Lewis. What's interesting, though, is that the amount of space that the Green Bay Packers are creating, not only by their formation, but also by simply their splits. Their splits, which are wider than most teams, and they're very kind of thoughtful about how they run their splits in different kind of inside run, outside run, different pass protections. Everything is done for a purpose. You're trying to create natural running lanes for the running back. So you see here these wide nines, and they ran this play all night. Jenkins is going to be the lead blocker, and then with Cobb, they run different variances of this, but we'll see Mercedes Lewis block down here. And listen, all they bring Allen Lazard in motion for is just eyeballs. It's doing two things. It's eyeballs for everybody as far as just disrupting traffic. And then, of course, on the other side of this, they're trying to keep 14. He's got replace responsibilities now, so we keep him out of the mix. We don't have to account for him in the blocking. We come down. You've got Mercedes Lewis on. Go back to the beginning here. So we're going down block. We should have a double team here. 92 steps out and does a good job of taking one as far as attacking Josh and the offensive tackle. Mercedes Lewis is down blocking as well. So we really have three guys coming downhill, and all they have to do is take care of 92 and 45. Obviously, John Runyon Jr. have some responsibilities if 91 jumps into his plus side A gap, but really they don't have to account for anybody backside here except for 45, Bobby Wagner, which is kind of an interesting way to run this. You have the kick out. You have Cobb leading through on the safety. And the only people that can make the play end up making the play, but it's still a 5-yard gain. Same situation here. Same idea. We're going to lead two. We have a tight end attached. We have two tight ends attached, excuse me. So now, similar structure. Have 53 back in the box. Only a 6-man box versus 12 personnel. If we were running 6-man boxes versus 12 personnel back in the day, we wouldn't even know what to do with ourselves. We'd be so happy. Obviously, you have to assume somebody has to insert here, but you have a 2-eye and a excuse me, you have a 4-eye and a 9 technique. You only have 2 backers. We can assume the 24 is going to insert. You have a 4-eye on the backside. And I believe you have a guy coming in on the motion here. You're going to pull the backside guard and the backside tackle as a change up. We're going to be attacking 97 and 53. John Runyon Jr. does a great job of exploding on contact and running his feet, marrying his hips up. Watch it one more time. Explosion. Great job. Yosh comes through and gets enough of 53. Squeeze that running back through. And again, these are big plays. And what's fun about watching this, if you're into kind of the scheme of everything, is a lot of these plays, because the way defenses play now, you're always going to have numbers. You always have a hat for every person. A lot of times back in the day, you're just kind of, okay, we'll leave the backside guy in the box unaccounted for. We can't do that now because of the way that the defenses are thinking about football. These guys are kind of a bend but don't break defense. Obviously, the RPO makes a big difference. But you have a hat on hat here, and really you're free to the free safety, which is, he has to come up, make the play, and he makes the play, but that's an 8-yard gain. So we go motion across with a tight end. 2 attached. Again, we have those wide 9s. And the reason that I keep bringing this up is that if you have a wide 9 and you're able to dictate that immediately. In other words, I know that Floyd isn't going to be head up versus my tight end. He's not going to play a 6 technique, not going to play a 7 technique. He's going to play not only a 9 technique, but a wide 9 technique. And so I have all that. It's free space between the center. The split between the center and Myers and John Runyon Jr., John Runyon Jr. and Yosh, and then Yosh and I think might be Billy Davis here, Gabe Davis. You just have space, and now he's even hipped off the tight end, so you're looking at almost hash to outside hash, inside hash to outside hash as far as spacing that these guys have to make a running lane with. And again, you're going to imagine we're going down, down. There's nobody sitting in the hole. Lazard can come up for 33. And one of the things that the Rams had to do is step back. They had to do this a lot during the game. In other words, they're moving their defensive lineman 91 from the -A to the +A. They're stepping their 3 technique out and attacking the tackle. And then they're going to bring the 45 down. The reason that they're doing this is because, again, they have to disrupt rhythm. You see the path that these guys take, though. It's insane. We pulled the backside guard and the hipped off tight end. Lazard comes down for 33. The tight end on the play side is all the way back for 53. And just to back this up, he's all the way back here. So he can sit on this. We basically have 3 people to block this 3 technique. Again, John Runyon Jr. has to be aware of 91. But 3 people to take care of, or 4 people to take care of these two defensive linemen, and then all the way back to 53. And we're going to leave 54 and 45 for the pullers. I mean, geometrically, it's such an opportunity to run the football. It's amazing. We look here, and we have great blocking tight ends. Lazard's been one of them for a long time. I believe that's him. That might be Christian Watson. I can't tell from this angle. I think it's Watson. This play doesn't work. So let me back this up. 2 things are interesting. One, 97 is not a natural defensive end. I don't think he's aware that Watson's going to block him. I think this is DeGuar. We're bringing him in motion. He's going to be the fullback on the play. This is getting very popular in the National Football League right now. As you're bringing guys across formation, getting a running start. I think it started, honestly, with Trent Williams doing it in the NFC playoffs last year as a tackle. They brought him into the tight end position. We saw Penny Sewell do it earlier in the year with the Lions. But these guys are running their fullback or their tight end, their F back in motion to get that head start. We're going to get the down block out here on Christian Watson. This play doesn't happen unless Jenkins has to reach the, like, he's got the only really, really hard block. If he doesn't make this block happen, reach that 3 technique and get him hooked and get him out of the way, because, or run him into this down block, play doesn't happen. He does a great job here getting the guy on the ground. We have a great block. Yash ends up overrunning 53 here. Yash has to come up and block 53. He overruns him. That's not Yash, excuse me. Zach Tom overruns 53. Usually that's not a problem. If you're an offensive lineman, you're just kind of taking an angle. If he overruns him right here, you're thinking to yourself, well, he can't make the play. The linebackers are fast. He ends up making a great play on AJ here, but again, we get the first down. We look at the two guys circled up, Yash and John Runyon Jr. Again, we end up in the same look all the time. We've got a 51 defense here. However you want to call that, a 33. But really one linebacker back. Nickel in the box, 2 safeties back. The hardest play here for the offensive line, so we're just going to go a downhill outside play. If you look for the double, you'll understand where the ball's supposed to go. So if you're a fan watching this, you just look for the double team. Who's got the double? That's where the ball, that's like the big read. Where's the double? If you find the double team, you'll find where the ball's supposed to go. So the double team right now is between Yash and John Runyon Jr. Josh Myers has to drive this person off the ball and secure his outside shoulder. This is the difficult block here because he's the single block. So we expect to get a lot of movement here. We expect to be able to drive this guy and turn his shoulders, but not get pushed back into the hole. And then Mercedes Lewis is outside on Floyd on 54. He actually loses with his hands here, gets pushed back. And so the reason this play doesn't work, Bobby Wagner does a great job of shooting the B gap and making John Runyon Jr. come off early. But we get push here. We get push here with Josh Myers. We get push here with Mercedes Lewis. And they end up making a play for a short gain. 5 offensive linemen, 4 down, 2 backers, 6-man box. This is, I think this is the first 3rd and 6, maybe. Goal to go situation, I think, on first down. And what happens a lot of times is with these guys is 97's a 305-pound defensive tackle playing defensive end. And so Zach Tom, who still needs to work on his strength, he sets very, very flat. He turns his hips very, very quickly. He's a great athlete, but his technique is leaves some to be desired. And one of the things is it's about getting to your real estate spot under control so you can dictate the terms of confrontation. What I mean by that is you have to it doesn't matter if I'm racing you to a spot and I get there, but I'm off balance, if I'm not ready to hit with my hands, if I'm not ready to pop with my hips, it really doesn't matter because this guy's essentially going in a straight line. So we see here in this moment, he's catching. He doesn't have his hands in a position where 97 is going to come into contact with him, press him with that inside hand. And there's not much he can do about it. He's kind of leaning on this as opposed to being able to punch with that inside hand, extend, and have some power behind him. And it's literally because he's getting to a spot really quickly. He runs right into this player and he's just not ready for confrontation. So you end up catching, hoping you can brace. He can't brace, ends up making the play. I know Floyd got the sack. Floyd gets the sack on this because of what 97 does. You look over here against Yash, and Yash gets pushed back, and that's why Aaron can't escape. You'd like to see him obviously play this up top. Floyd does a good job of getting to the height of the quarterback, pressing inside, forcing the quarterback so he can't step up. He has to step back, and then he ends up making the play. Want to grow one for sure. I think it's the Guar back there playing the F back. This is good old green left football. This is old school. Look at 33 here. And 45. I say that because we're accounting for 33 with the wide receiver. And you see when you do this toss, this used to be called a boss play, back on strong safety. You lead the F back, the fullback, onto the strong safety. The left guard would slip. The left guard would slip with the tackle here. So you'd have a block from the Mercedes Lewis on, I believe that's 96. You'd have a slip block, so a double team between the left guard and the left tackle out to 45. The center would have 91 on his own. The backside right guard would try to get through to 53, and then you have to cut off the backside 3 technique. You'd leave 54 for the quarterback. This is how it's always been run. Whether it was a 99 handoff solid, whether it was a 95 toss boss play. The Packers decide to use the receiver to attack the safety instead. That allows them to double team 91. So the double team, when you see you follow the double team. The double team is where the ball's supposed to go. We've got 2 single blocks out here on the edges on the right of the screen, on the left of the field. You see Jenkins hits 91 and rises up. We'd love to see more violence, obviously, in the pop, and then also at the second level here. He ends up making the linebacker ends up making the play. But interesting scheme again. Not traditionally something we would do, but they've mixed that up. They toss the ball to get the linebackers to run. Gives you a chance to get on that nose tackle and really create some space, and then hopefully get on that linebacker late. This is again, I don't know the inner workings of how they run their stuff now. Leaving everything else aside, and they're going to bring a man in motion right now. You have 3 single blocks on the left. This is the cross action where they bring the tight end backside, and they're going to try to cut out or block Floyd on the backside here with him. And then you have a direct line with John Runyon Jr. up to Bobby Wagner, and Josh has a cutoff. Hopefully John Runyon Jr. can give him a little something, but Bobby's very sly, so if he hangs too far, he'll shoot. Just looking at this, one might say, well, why don't you just flip it over? You have much better angles because you get a great double team on your nose tackle here up to the linebacker. Why don't you just run this play the other way? Why don't you leave the tight end where he is? Everybody, we have Josh going out, John Runyon Jr. blocking the 3 technique, double team on the nose tackle, and then Zach Tom having to cut off that 3. Who knows? This is something that might just have a formation where this is what they want to call it and run it. I know they go in motion right here, but that motion brings in this player. I know it doesn't matter because obviously we could say the motion player could just cut him off if we were running the other way, and he's on the backside of the play now. But I just find that these are the kind of things because I don't know if we're necessarily very good at single blocking with the Green Bay Packers right now with Zach Tom, Jenkins, and Myers, especially. I think Greg Gaines, 91, is probably their best defensive tackle at the moment with Aaron Donald not being in. So you see they all kind of struggle a little bit. They all get stood up. Myers is going the wrong direction, and there's just nowhere to go. So they're in that pony look. They motion Aaron Jones out. Big block here is, can we get the push? So now, as opposed to the last play, and I know it's a different formation, it's the same concept. But now that you have this nose tackle backside for A.J. Dillon, who's going to receive the ball here, we got Zach Tom out. We have Jenkins out. We now have that double team up to Bobby. Josh has the tough job of blocking up that 4-4 eye, and we can leave this hanger 54. We can leave him for Jones. We can leave him for Aaron Rodgers, however you want to look at that, but we don't have to block him. This is an ideal situation because you see the natural lane there. There's a bunch of guys that can make the play, but they can make the play down the field. The important part is you can get that double team. Unfortunately here, they don't do a great job if we'll go back. They don't do a great job of taking care of this double team. I think he gets off late, ends up making this play. And that's just a function of, if we look at it again, Josh Myers crosses over. When you cross over, you're weak. You're getting pushed one way. Your center is going now laterally because he's crossing over. Your right guard is coming and trying to push upward and over. And all of a sudden, if I'm going this way and the defensive tackle wants to change direction, not going to happen. I'm not a good enough athlete. Still a good game. 12 personnel, 2 tight ends to the left, huge spacing, 3 technique, and the wide. I don't know if that's an 11. I don't even know what to call that when you're that far out. But they're just, they've just run their over defense. It just looks a little bit different now because of that space. So, I mean, intuitively, what would you do? You'd start pulling guys again. Down block with Mercedes Lewis, Zach Tom. Get that double team with Zach Tom and Jenkins. Backside block here with Myers. And they all go. And it's a good play. It could have been better for a couple of reasons. Mercedes Lewis, all he has to do really is he really has no responsibilities except for make sure this 3 techniques secure and rise up to Bobby Wagner. Bobby's a great player, but got to make this. Now we all have to remember there's a call that they have. Maybe it's because of the wide look of 97, but the Packers know already that 91 is going to come over the top here, so they block back on all of these guys. So Zach Tom's blocking by himself. He's going to get help from Mercedes Lewis. Elgin Jenkins is going to take 91. Myers is going to bypass 91 or let him get bypassed and go to the next guy. So this is a good job of communication. We get the double pull. You see Mercedes here gets that hand, but then he misses on Bobby. Get the great block from John Runyon Jr. again. And now Yosh shows up, and all of a sudden Bobby's there. Bobby slips, but ends up making the play. Again, we have numbers. Like, the numbers are there, so he's really running into the end zone if everybody's blocked perfectly. You have your 5-down line look. Everybody's covered up. I don't know why that circle's doing that. That's odd. John Runyon Jr., he's not the most powerful player in the world. He has good footwork. He just has great situational awareness. So right here, he might have a B block up to the linebacker. He takes these steps because he thinks he might get that center's nose tackle to rock this way. He does, takes it over and allows Myers to go north and south on the backer. Jenkins does just a good enough job to not get pushed in this hole. And then they all join in the fun, push AJ through the end zone. See potential double team here. This is the beginning of the second half. And we've already seen that they want to play back, and that's how they're going to disrupt the flow of the rhythm of the offensive line. We have to account for it. And I think right here in particular, I think this is the first or second play of the second half. And they rock back. Everybody gets kind of jumbled up here, beaten backside, beaten on the double team. The one thing you never want to see, even if Myers gets beat here, because he's got the toughest job, you never want to see this get double swam to the outside. And Jenkins does the right thing here. He's playing it like you're supposed to play it. You have to do a better job by Zach Tom of not coming down so hard and being so aggressive. You got to stay a little square to the line of scrimmage. So the last play, back this up. So the last pass protection we looked at, we saw Zach Tom get bull rush. So, he goes back to the bench. What is most likely said, you got to go get on. We can't let him get momentum, which he didn't do the last time. So now he runs out there and, literally runs out there. He's moving. I'll back this up one more time to make it obvious. From the snap, runs out to his spot. And now he's in this, but you've just gotten in your same position. You got one leg off the ground. Your hands are wide. 97 to me puts his hand in your chest, and you look at 74, and it's not a great body position, but he does a good job of getting the win with this inside hand. The problem is because of his body position, he sits down well here, but he just bends over, lets 92 spin into this. You look at it one more time. Look at Zach Tom just getting on skates, and it's just because you have bad leverage points. You didn't move with your inside hand, but you're running out there, and everybody thinks it's about getting on the guy. If your feet are underneath you, if you're at your real estate spot under control, absolutely. go if you want to have that confrontation, go ahead. But coaches, players, what we do sometimes, we make the mistake of saying, "Oh, we're just going to go run out and get this guy." That's not something that we practiced 1,000 reps of, 1,000 hours of. Like you've practiced your core set for 1,000 hours. Trust that. This you haven't worked on. I promise. I promise. Zach Tom's not in practice running out at the 9 technique and trying to wrestle with him. 1 yard off the line of scrimmage versus a 305-pound guy. He's just not doing it because it's not sound. So you mix it up, you get hurt sometimes. It's a lesson everyone's got to learn. When you're in just 11 personnel here, what the Rams try to do, the reason that people get into this, this is you call it a 33 and nickel, call it the 3-4, but if you're in base defense, and what they're trying to do is create single blocks. They're basically saying in this situation right now, our guys are going to be able to beat your guys. Our guys are going to be able to hold off so we can have, our Bobby Wagners of the world come and make plays. And so we have to win our one-on-one matchups right here. And it's really as simple as that. There's some plays, and listen, guys get beat a couple times every game. John Runyon Jr., again, does a good job of adjusting, try to bump this guy over. You'd love to see a little bit more violence. You'd love to see him even hang on this a little bit more because Bobby's not coming to him. He ends up overrunning him and letting Wagner get in on the play. But ultimately, at every position, you just have to win your matchups. And 91's he plays with great leverage. He's low to the ground. He gets underneath Myers' pads. Myers has a tendency to make a second step wide, so he doesn't play with the same power base that he had when he started. These are plays that just happened during the game. Just want to point them out because schematically, that's kind of what they're thinking. This is really more of an appreciation for Ramsey, but okay, that's not fair. Ramsey does a great job of making the tackle here, but Christian Watson, we highlighted him earlier on the crack block, but I have 2 plays in a row here of Christian and then Randall Cobb coming down and really making themselves a huge part of this running game. And with the motion, you see everybody goes and follows what they think is going to be the jet sweep. You see Watson coming down here on 24, washing him away, getting like underneath. When we say underneath, he's getting play side of that block and making sure that he's in front of him so he can't see the ball. He does a great job of it. We just call that digging him out. Does a great job of it. I know this is a great play by Jalen Ramsey, but great job by Watson as well, getting in there and making the play. And then we look over here on the left side of your screen. We see Randall. I believe that's Randall Cobb. And really, when you think about, if I back this up, if you look at where you can run the ball realistically right here, the only gap that's wide open is the C gap between Yash and Mercedes Lewis. Everything else is kind of covered up. You get small guys in there. You see Lazard comes in and takes 14, but Randall Cobb comes through, blocks 33 down, right out of the way, creates the seam. 2's got to step up and make the play. We talked about Troy Hill before. Not his cup of tea. He's not going to make that play one way or the other, but great job by Randall Cobb there. John Runyon Jr. I bring up, again, this isn't a super physical play, but he gets his second step in the ground. This is a big deal. And look, this play doesn't go anywhere, but he does this is a hard block. The guy's tight. He takes a step, gets his second step down, and is able to wash this guy out of the play and gives everyone a chance. And that's all, if your right guard can make these adjustments, we can work on the physicality and the explosiveness, right, in the weight room. But he's got the footwork, he's got the football IQ, and he makes a lot of plays that go unnoticed in games, and this is one of them. I think we've highlighted 3 or 4 times the job that he does just by recognizing what's going on. Same situation here. He's going to step out and immediately just comes back and make sure that Wagner's secured. I know this seems like an easy deal, but you have to be willing to come off the ball hard enough to help 73 and be able to redirect. And that looks like a no-brainer move, but a lot of NFL pros don't make that block, don't make that adjustment. So great job by him. And then he gets in on the action here, which is what we love. And it keeps going. All right, that's enough of that. All right, so you see there's a ton of plays. It's just really interesting to see how, the Packers go with 12 personnel. They go with two tight ends split on each side of the tackle. They get those super wide techniques. Oh, you want to give us wide nines? Oh, okay. Well, then we're gonna pull two guys, whether it's the center or the guard and the tackle, whether it's the guard and the backside tight end, whether it's a man in motion, the F back and another tight end. We're gonna bring you guys down. Everyone's gonna block down. We're going to come around. We're going to kick out the defensive end who's playing that wide nine. So we have a ton of space to make mistakes, or, doesn't have to be super clean. We're going to lead with one guy in the hole. Your safeties are still high. We're going to say, go ahead, try to make plays. We'll get 8-10 yards every time we take a shot at that play. You see some different things where they line up. Maybe they line up AJ on the backside of a play, and they want to get that nose tackle double team. In other situations, if it's downhill, they'll run the toss, and maybe they won't run the boss, like back on strong safety. They'll move everybody back and let that strong safety make the play, or they'll take care of that strong safety receiver. The way that they manipulate different situations is nothing really new as far as, if you've watched film over the course of years and decades, you're going to see this stuff over and over. But what's interesting, I think, is the adjustments that NFL defenses are making now, because they're so worried about the passing game, is that they're not going whole hog all into this running game. So you look at this running game, I look at it and I go, wow, 12 personnel, you're going to put 5 or 6 people in the box, you're going to run dime, you're going to run nickel. Doesn't make it, like, for me, it just doesn't make a lot of sense. Doesn't make it right or wrong. It's just, I understand the knowledge now is we don't think you can run the ball all the way down the field. And we see that even with the Green Bay Packers. First drive, they get down there. I think they get down to go, and they run it once and throw it twice, and they have to kick a field goal. First drive of the second half, I think they tried to throw it 3 times. On the third one, they got a PI, so then they ran it twice with Dillon and got a touchdown. But guys want to throw the football. The NFL wants to throw the football. They make all the rules so that the quarterbacks and the receivers have more of an advantage of throwing the football, getting more yards, putting more points on the board. That's what fans want to see. I find it extremely interesting, right? And then it just comes down to, you see some different individual matchups, individual techniques. What makes the most sense in that situation? You have to have the great technical foundation in order to make those small adjustments for that wide nine, for that 305-pound defensive end, for a guy who's going to take that hard spike across your face. You have to be able to play from a place of confidence and technical mastery in order to adjust for those little things in game. So hope you enjoyed it. We'll come back with a preview on the On My Block podcast tomorrow of the big game versus the Dolphins, Packers-Dolphins. If you enjoyed this, hit that subscribe button, rate and review, and we'll talk to you next time. Thank you.